Hello, welcome back to another installation of What Would Lou Do. So today we're going to do a video on how to disassemble, clean, and lubricate your pistolas. Now you can see here we have a few different models. You'll see that some of the way that they disassemble is different, and even some of the areas that you need to apply lubricant can vary as well. So we've got the Glock, and we've got a Smith & Wesson, and then we've got SIG. So this should give you a pretty good idea of what you're getting into when you're going to disassemble, clean, and lubricate your firearms. This is by no means the way that you have to do it. This is just what I've come to do and what are my preferences and everything. So by all means, consult your manual, see what they suggest you do. But I can tell you now, you're gonna find eventually down the road, you're gonna see a lot of wear and tear on different spots that they didn't suggest you lubricate. So just keep that in mind before you go, oh, that's not what the manual says. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Anyway, if you have any of these particular firearms or something similar, then feel free to follow along. So obviously you're gonna need your pistola. Secondly, I like to use microfiber rags, but you don't have to. You could use shop towels, I guess. You could use, an old t-shirt. You just don't want to use something that get lint and fibers all inside the guns, because if you do that, that might lead to problems down the road. Q-tips to get into some of the harder to reach areas, or bristles or brushes, you can do that as well. So then obviously you're going to need some cleaning supplies. I recommend a cleaning kit. Now there are a lot of different cleaning kits on the market. This is about one of the best ones that I've tried so far. Everything in it is top-notch quality, and there's so many different models that you can work on. Also, we're going to need some sort of lubrication. Now I prefer grease over oil. I do have some oil here. So right there, I've got this cleanse oil, and this stuff, I don't know about it. It smells like pine saw, really watered. That's part of what you find with gun oils, is that they tend to leak out of the gun, like right where you have it laying down like this, you go to pull it out and the other side will be saturated with oil. So I don't really like that, especially after you take all the time cleaning them and everything, then you pull them out and they're covered with oil. Internally is fine, but outside, I don't want that. And then we have another product here. This is from the Flitz company. This is a ceramic gun sealant. This is what I do after I've cleaned and lubricated. Of course, a pair of gloves. Got that nasty cut right there, and I don't want anything getting in it and burning it, right? So I'm definitely going to be wearing the gloves. Oh, also there are a few more things. Now this is just a light degreaser mix. I just got one of those big bottles of Zep from Home Depot. Mixed it to where it was light, because you don't want anything really harsh on your gun finishes or anything. I literally use this stuff all the time. You could also use some isopropyl alcohol if you don't have a degreaser, but seeing as how you're trying to get the grease off of things, a degreaser just works better. Another thing I use is this 303. So I use this for my holsters. I use this on the polymer. This is the stuff I use now. So I'm showing you guys all my secrets and all my tools here. So I will leave links to these things in the description. That way, if you want to get a hold of them, you'll be able to find it that way. So I guess what I should do is clear some of these things away and just start one model at a time. So I guess we'll go boom, boom, boom. Don't worry, boys, this isn't gonna hurt much. Alrighty, so here we have the Glock 43X. So for anyone who's like, hey, wait a minute, I thought you hated Glock. I kinda do. But I still am going to lubricate these to make sure they are in optimal condition. So if I need to fall back on one of these, I can do that. First of all, you gotta take your mag out, right? You want to do this with unloaded firearms in any case, right? So you see there, nothing there. Now, it's funny because some people say that the Glocks are one of the harder to break down, and I actually think they're kind of simple, really. So kind of hear that little click or feel that ledge, pull that down, and then pull the trigger. and then it comes off. So it is one that you have to pull the trigger. So if that worries you, again, if there's no ammo in there, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. So you've got your frame, and this is your recoil spring. You just pop that off, and then out comes your barrel, still very nicely lubricated. That is because I put gun grease on it versus gun oil. Anytime I lubricate a barrel like that with gun oil, it just kind of slings off or just drips off of it. So I just don't like using it. And then we have your slides. So that is basically everything you have to break down on this. Now, what I like to do is actually work in this orientation, right? You can see right in here and back in here, right? There's a bit of gunk and stuff in there that needs to be cleaned out. I guess I didn't clean this the last time I fired it. So I put a little bit of degreaser on there. I'm going to start with a Q-tip, then I'll take and use the rag and wipe everything out. So basically, you just really want to go over it and get into all these hard to reach areas. I mean, look at what we've got out of there already. And also, if you guys are carrying, which you should be, you're going to have to clean it a lot more often, because when you wear this, you're getting sweat, perspiration, moisture, t-shirt lint, skin dust, all kinds of stuff falls into here. So you just go around and everything you see, right? I mean, look at what we've got off of that already. And basically just clean it. By the way, don't get the Q-tips from Walmart. They're garbage. All right, so now I just take a little bit of a light mix of degreaser. This is not very heavily concentrated. It's very diluted, actually. And you can go over the outside. I usually leave that to the end. Now the guy rod here, it looks actually relatively clean and looks very well lubricated. So I'm actually gonna leave that alone. The barrel on the outside looks fine, but on the inside, it looks a little bit dirty in there. And that's where this will come in, right? So this is from the Gridar company. I found this company online and wanted to try out their products. And so I got a few things from them. I got the cleaning kit and their synthetic grease. So this is what I've been using here recently to do these kinds of things. It's quite an extensive set, and here's a lot of the calibers that you can service, right? 12 gauge, 20 gauge. The pistol world, you got 9mm, 45, 40, 357, 38, or 22. And then when it comes to rifles, you got 30 cal, 22, 270, 223, and 5.56. And then here is a list of everything that comes in here. One of the things I was actually pretty surprised to see and was pleased to see actually is that they have basically their version of like a bore snake, right? You know, the one where you pull this rope through. This is this cable right here. Put attachments on it and yank it through, and very, very cool. Now, a word about the warranty here. It says lifetime warranty, but then if you look here, it says this product has a 1-year limited warranty. I was like, what does that mean? But if you read, it's basically, so if you register this, it becomes a lifetime protected product, right? So definitely, if you guys are interested in getting these or the other products from them, I'll put the link in the description from them. If you use code WWLD15, you actually save 15% off your entire purchase. Be sure to check them out and show them some love, right? And this is just a little thank you card, and again, it tells you about filling out the warranty information. But you can see here all the stuff that comes with it. And this is the only thing I was like, you could have found a better spot for this, right? Maybe even right here, or just found the area in here for it. It's just kind of weird here, but be that as it may, these are some of the ends we are going to use. And so right here, we're going to use our shaft here, which is actually brass, is not no flimsy aluminum or plastic, right? It's got some good weight to it. Here is a brush that you can get down into these, and for some of the dirtier ones, I will be using this. Here are the cloths, or patches as some people will say it. You stick them through here and then you run it in and out, and that cleans the insides of the barrels. We also need the handle, and I guess while I'm pulling everything out, I'll show you kind of like a bore snake. It's fitted with 2 brass ends, and because this is so stout, right, you can run this through rifles no problem. Basically what you do is you just screw this handle on here, whatever attachment. If it's going to be like one of these, this is where the adapter comes in. This one right here was one of the things I really like to see, but overall everything is good quality. So I'm going to take one of these little attachments here and just screw it on. Screw a little handle on here, okay, and then we're going to open some patches. So what you do here basically is you fold it and you stick it in like that, right? But we need to saturate this in either degreaser or alcohol or something that removes carbon if you wanted to, but again, wear gloves. All right, so I've just got a little bit of degreaser on here. I'm just gonna feed this through here. You just take your barrel here and put this through. You see down in there, and it looks pretty clean. Yeah, see there was a little bit of stuff on there. Then next, what you'll do with one of these is maybe take a little bit of lube and put it in there. Now for that, I will use typically use gun oil. So then I'm just gonna put a little bit of this pine sol smelling stuff on here, work that around in there. I think you can see just how clean and shiny that is in there now. So you definitely want to take care of your firearms, because the longer you do that and the better you do that, the longer these babies will last. So with the slide, I usually, unless it's like really dirty, I just take the rag and kind of go down in there. And don't worry, we're going to lubricate all this again right now. I've got the synthetic grease from, again, the Gridar company. And I like this one because it has an applicator, and because one of the things I've used this grease, right, which is from the Birchwood Casey company, but the downside to this is I have to apply it with Q-tips and things. Now this one says from 10 to 500. I have no way of verifying that, but I don't believe that they'll be lying to us, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so any kind of information, instructions will be found on the back. So on the Glock here, these parts are already stainless and shiny, right? So you can't tell where these pieces are really wearing, but these right here right along the inside of the slide, right? There's a little groove right there, and these run along in there. So you'll want some on there, and all these, and then some back in here. Get a little bit of grease on all these contact points, and really, you just really need a dab those a little bit. And then we'll come back and go to this one. Now I will say that this applicator could be a little bit easier to squeeze, but it's not so hard that you can't squeeze it, but it's also not so easy that you can just barely press it and push it out. So that might be a good thing, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit a little dab right there, a little bit on that section. And then like I said, we're gonna hit the slide release. And then back here where your trigger moves. If you watch right here where I pull this bar forward, you can see it's gonna slide over this piece and into that part, right? We want to have some grease down in there to make sure that that doesn't have any friction, because the friction causes heat, and heat bends the metals and causes it to wear out. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit right here. So we're going to just work that back and forth a little. So that's pretty much good to go. And so like I said, I'm also going to take and put a little bit right here in that cavity. And then in the slide, right? What I like to do is just do like 1, 2, 3, 4. Little tiny drop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want to put some in here, I just kind of get just a light coating of it. Might be better to put oil in that part. It just depends on you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the outside. Now we'll start to reassemble. So now you take your barrel, put it back in, and then the guide rod, It goes in this little hole and it just sits on this little ledge here. And then slide this back on here. Right? So we'll just kind of work it down a little. And you see we'll have some excess come out the back. Let's just wipe that off. So everything is basically good to go. So now we'll just clean the outside. So here I take some of our degreaser. First of all, make sure there's nothing on my gloves because then you can just transfer it back onto there. And so I just go over the entire thing. Again, we don't have to worry about this thing going off because it is unloaded. Remember, don't ever clean one of these things loaded, and always double check it, right? That's one of the main rules to firearms, is treat every gun like it's loaded. And there you go. She already looks better after being cleaned off, but not complete. So now I like to take the old 303 here and go over all the plastics, all the black and everything. And so it's just literally just a fine mist of it. It'll give that black a really nice dark color. And, you know, it keeps it from wearing out as fast. I mean, you know, it's plastic, so especially if you use these things in the sun a lot, they can start to fade. So this right here is actually very good to protect that. It doesn't make it slippery like rim oil or none of that other stuff. And then when it comes to the slide, I just, you know, take a little bit of this. This one you want to have either 2 rags because you don't want to let it dry on the slide. So you just spritz it, use that side and turn it over and dry it. That's what I do. But basically just a couple of spritzes like that. And then you buff it in. I usually take a couple of passes and then turn over and then wipe it off. The bottle actually says don't let it dry, so it was hard to tell any difference with this one just because, you know, it's got that nickel plated slide and everything like that. But on certain firearms, especially black ones, you can really notice a big difference after you've applied this stuff. All right, so there you go. And this baby is cleaned, well lubricated, and ready to go. All right, so next up we have the Shield Plus from Smith & Wesson. And I'm not gonna, you know, do every little step because now you've got the gist of it. But I just wanna show you guys how these are kind of similar, how they're different, how they, you know, disassemble and all those kinds of things. So first things first, take your magazine out and verify it is unloaded. Chicka, chicka, chicka. And then you take this lever and swing it downward. You slide it forward and then you pull your trigger and it comes off. You can see in this one, it also is a little bit dirty. With this one, you can tell what I was talking about, the Glock you couldn't see. Now you see right here on these rails, right? These were originally black, but now if you look at them, you can see the metal underneath is coming through. So those are points that you're going to want to apply some oil or some gun grease. And right here, you can tell it really badly. And right there, again, you want to apply some lubricant to that, regardless of whether or not the manual says to or not. So like before, get your Q-tip. Okay, and basically once you've got everything as clean as you can with your Q-tip, just take your rag and wipe out everything as well as you can. The recoil spring and the guide rod look plenty lubricated. It is a bit dirty though, so I'm just gonna give it a little spin on here. But otherwise, that's fine. Okay, go ahead and clean this barrel here because this one did have quite a bit of gunpowder residue and carbon and everything over it. So this one requires a bit more wiping down than the Glock did. All right, got another cloth here. This one I've kind of doubled it over because I know that this one is a lot more dirty. So I need it to be a bit more thick. I'm just gonna twist it on around in there. Yeah, so It wasn't terrible, but it definitely was worse than the Glock, but that's because I've used this one more than the Glock. Even though that looks nice and shiny, clean in there, I'm still going to run a little bit of oil in it. So again, I just take the old cleanse oil, Pine Sol, stuff in my jigs, and give it a little pass through. Honestly though, this stuff really does smell like Pine Sol. I don't know why they had to add the scent to it. I guess maybe to cover up the stink. Have a sniff. But you see there, I actually got some more stuff off of it. So that's good to go. Q-tip. Oh boy, right there at the end. Oh goodness, look at that. Just take this since there's so much right in that spot. Ooh yeah. Also, this would be a good time to make sure that your striker pin is working well. You just kind of want to move it back and forth and feel, you know, everything feels good in there, and it does. Okay, so now we get to greasing. So with the guide rods, I do tend to use oil just because it can be easier to get around in there. So really, there's no wrong substance to use. If you prefer a specific one over another, then by all means use that. But to me, I see where there's benefits for both, right? Like in this, it's just quicker and easier just to put some oil down in there. The back here. All right, so again, we're going to drop our barrel down in there. Then our recoil spring. And then we will pop it on here. Again, you can just kind of wobble it back and forth, slide it. So yeah, you can see we've got good lubrication. And now we'll just clean off the outside. And in case anyone asks how often I do this, very often. 303. See what I mean? How well that works. Nice dark black. Bit of the flits. Patting on the flits. It's not going to look like it made a major difference with this one because the finish was already screwed up anyway. And I will show you guys what I mean with that. But as far as this specific video, I've tried to do that video 3 times and each time there was a problem. So I've basically put it off for a minute, you know, because it was really getting on my nerves. Or remember, like I said, you can take the 303 and run it around on your holster and keep those nice and black as well. And there you go. Here we have the SIG P365. So the easy way to do this first is to pull it back with your magazine in there and then eject the magazine. That way you don't have to do this and try to flick the button up. Just pull it back and then eject the magazine. Swing that down like that. And with this one, a lot of people may be happy. You don't have to pull the trigger. Ah, how dare I have to shoot an empty gun, right? No, I get it. It can be a bit nerve-wracking when you're new to all this, but again, that's kind of what my channel, as far as the overall arching theme, is to help people with the specifics and the information that they may not know. A lot of the people who know how to do this are probably going to skip through, but a lot of you guys who are really needing this knowledge, you're going to watch this and you're going to learn something, and I'm going to do my job. Now you see, very nice and shiny, right? Very lubricated, but at the same time, it is pretty dirty. But it's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be. So for this one, I think I'm going to use the little bristles here. Just take my isopropyl alcohol and just put a little bit in this tub. I would use my degreaser, but I don't have a cap to dab this in, and I'm just going to use this. This time I'm going to get the majority of it off first. That pretty much cleaned it up, but just to be sure and show you guys how nasty some of these things can get. Get down in there, get down and dirty with it, you know, get dirty. Don't like to get dirty. I think you can see what we've got off of there now. This actually looks pretty good here. I'm just going to pass it Pass it around just to get some of the outside. And you can see again, right? These parts stay nice and lubricated with that gun grease. That's why I really like that stuff. All right, take another patch. Just do the old spinaroonie again. If you look through in there, it should be nice and clean, nice and shiny. So that is good to go. All right, now we'll take this one and do the same as what we did with the other one. Just take the bulk of it off with our rag here. Take here, just a little bit down in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop your barrel down in there. Put your recoil spring on, and then just kind of back and forth on this. Okay. All right, so she's good to go. Now we'll just clean off the outside. All right, so on these, I don't so much use the 303 just because you really can't tell the difference. So I don't really do that, but now we're going to go ahead and use our flits. Now these Cerakoted ones, I think is where it really you notice the difference. Like I said, I just buff it in, but don't let it dry. And then just turn it over to the other side. Take it back off. See there, nice and purty. Alrighty, looking good, looking good. And so since this light is Cerakoted, I go over it as well, just to protect it from holster wear and things. Bit of 303 for the holster here. Good. So there you go, guys. That is how I clean and lubricate my firearms. Now, again, this isn't the way that you have to do it, and I wanted to just show you guys how some of these, they're very similar if you noticed. There may be a little bit different, but as far as the lubrication points, generally speaking, they're about the same. It may not be exact, but again, anywhere you see the bare metal beginning to show, that needs to have either grease or oil on it. So again, these are just some of the things that I use. I'm not even saying you have to use any of this stuff, right? You see I have a wide variety of products that I use, and these are just things that I've tested out and some of the things I found that I like more. But anyway, I'll have links to everything I've used here in the description. So if any of you guys want to find this stuff, then you can do so. And I think that's going to wrap this video up. Wait, I'm forgetting something. Okay, if you found this video helpful, we ask that you strike that like, swell that bell, subscribe and vibe with us, make us feel all appreciated, baby. We appreciate you guys for watching. As we always say, seek the Lord while it may be found, or call upon him while he is near, because he is near unto those that be of a broken heart, and save such that be of a contrite spirit. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. He resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. So cast yourselves down before the Lord, and he will lift you up. Until next time, friends, take care and God bless.